guys, it's me. Welcome back to my channel today. Today we're going to be talking about my VIB sale for spring 2021 makeup recommendations. The first product that I want to talk about is actually my first step in my routine, and that is my brows. Now, I have my brows microbladed, so I have a lot of the work done for me. When I think about when my microblading starts to kind of diminish, for me it starts to fade after about a year or so. So when I want to fill them in or when I want to make them a little bit bolder, I like to use these products from Benefit. So the first one is the GimMe Brow. This is a really cute brow tinting gel kind of product. It comes in a whole bunch of shades, and this is actually very, very well loved. The packaging on it is like nearly falling apart basically, like it's starting to fade and the sticker is starting to fall off. I use a medium brown shade for my brows, and I find that because it's a tinted brow gel, it actually does a good job of holding the brow hairs in place. If you just want a little bit of boldness, but you don't need any like brow strokes kind of like brushed in, all you have to do is just brush it through the hairs, and it does a really good job of adding a little bit of boldness, but nothing too crazy. So this is my first recommendation if you're after a tinted brow product. And if you need to fill something in, this is a product that really surprised me, also from Benefit. This is the Brow Microblading Pen. This is something that hasn't dried out for me, and it's been very, very long that I've had this one. So I have medium brown in this one as well. And this is essentially like mimicking a microblading pen. A lot of other products I've tried are either drying out within a month or so you end up spending so much money replenishing it. I do think that the pigmentation after about 4 or 5 months of owning it has gotten a little lighter, and I find that when my microblading tends to fade, it usually tends to fade right at the tail or kind of at the arch and kind of leading into the tail. So that's where I put this product through, and it helps just keep everything uniform. You can see this product actually has like 3 little pokes there, or 3 little strokes. You can actually do strokes if you would like, but I do feel like with this product, you're going to need quite a bit of your own hair because it does look like a pen. For that reason, this is more of like a boost what you have kind of product, but if you are bald up there and you need like a freehand, this is going to potentially look almost like a marker. It's going to look a little bit too fake. So an actual pencil will help you with that regard because of how stiff the formula would be compared to something like this. The last brow product I want to talk about before moving on to a different section is the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. Now, I've actually tried this one for quite some time. I've actually tried its competitor, which is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Gel, and I find that the Anastasia is really good as well. The only thing I find is that this one can give me a little bit more flexibility. I find that when I use my Anastasia, I get a little bit more crusty looking faster. There's a longer side for your longer hairs and a shorter side for in the front for your shorter hairs. I really, really like this one because it has that versatility, and because the formulation is a little bit more forgiving, I kind of find that I'm picking up this one a little bit more. Now, the next step in my routine would be if I do choose to use eyeshadow would be next. And this is my holy grail eyeshadow primer. This is the Smashbox 24-Hour Eyeshadow Primer. This has a super beautiful, like creamy, moussey consistency with a slight pale pink undertone to really help cancel any of the purple or blue, maybe veins or tones on your eyelid that can kind of peek through. So this does a really good job of prepping the lid. I find that you don't have to set it with powder. It works that way, or it works by itself. And it really takes about, I would say, like 30 seconds or so before it really sets down nicely. It keeps my eyeshadow from creasing. I also feel like because of that pale pink consistency with the color correcting component, it kind of keeps my pigments nice and bright when I apply them to the lid also, because they're not working at covering up or concealing anything right off the hop. This is a great product, you guys. I've tried so many. This is my favorite still, and you can tell it kind of looks a little ratty because it's really, really well loved. Next, let's talk eyeshadow. So these are palettes that I've been really loving recently, and kind of thinking about spring in mind, I wanted to pick out some palettes that I think would be really, really fun for the upcoming season. So the first one is one that I'm really hoping gets restocked for Sephora Canada. I know right now it's restocked for Sephora US, but this is the infamous Glam palette from Natasha Denona. You can see how beautiful this is. Highly, highly reflective, like silver platinum platinum packaging. It's a cool tone lover's dream. I love the fact that it is a midi palette because it's that perfect price point. It's not too high with regards to her large palette pricing. It's not a mini, so it offers a little bit more versatility. This is a beautiful color story. A lot of people were wondering if this was going to be limited edition because of how long it wasn't in stock for, but it is back. I've seen it at Beautylish too, but when it comes to Sephora and the sale, I really hope they restock it for Canadians because it would be amazing to save some money on this one. There's some gorgeous shimmers in here. We have some gorgeous neutrals. This is beautiful. Like, I think this is good for beginners because we have those easy to use shades. We also have some shimmer in there. This is fantastic and actually my favorite palette from her right now. The second one from Natasha that I want to talk about, if you are more looking for a mini palette and you know, the midi size is kind of like a little bit too much right now, this is the perfect one for spring. This is the Mini Retro palette. This is actually a last year release, but it's still something I dip into a ton, especially in the spring. And I do like this one because it offers quite a bit of diversity for a mini palette. We have a really beautiful blue silver shade. We also have some pinks that anchor this palette, and it's a nice mix of shimmer versus matte. Because of the mini price point, the price is amazing. So if you can get that percentage off as well, I think that's just like the cherry on top. The next big brand I want to talk about is Mcgrath Labs. I do think the VIB sale is a really good opportunity to invest in her brand. What I will say though is that you got to be a little careful which one you want to invest in at the VIB sale, because if you are the top tier, which is Rouge, your maximum for discount is 20%. So if you wait for a Pat McGrath site sale, you can often get her palettes for even upwards of 30% off. Just depends on if you want to wait or not. If you're wanting to get like a big mothership palette, what I will tell you is that it's probably best to save for her website. Only thing is that sometimes it can take forever for her items to ship. But Sephora does offer, you know, some flexibility with really fast delivery times, and their customer service is definitely something that I would say is better right now than Pat McGrath. Often you try to contact Pat McGrath and they don't get back to you. So it's kind of disappointing, but it just depends on your priority and what you want, right? So this is Divine Rose. I always recommend this as one of the first because this to me is just a cool tone lover dream, especially if you like pink. The Glam palette is good because it offers those silvers and those nice brown neutrals, but this is one that is definitely more pink, more purpley, and very fun. And the other one that I actually recommend from her big palettes from her permanent collection is the Sublime palette, just because of that gorgeous emerald green. So this is a beautiful one too that I think has those nice pops of pink, but also some more diversity for green and some deeper shades. So this is a lovely one too, my second in line for my recommendations. When it comes to her site sale, I'm going to highlight two that you could consider picking up from Sephora, just because this one hasn't been included in the site sale yet, simply because it's a new release from her. So when she has a new release, a new collection, she sometimes omits it from her big sales. So this is the quad I'm talking about. This is the Eternal Eden quad from Divine Rose 2 collection, and this is actually the palette I am wearing on my eyes today. This is one that's made in the US, so the quality of the formulation is high, but not as high in my opinion to her Italian formulation from her Mothership 10 pan palettes. Either way, this isn't like a terrible quality palette. I would definitely not recommend it if it was. But if you're looking for something like this, like a quad, something easy to throw looks together if you want a brighter pink or a more muted pink, two shimmers, two mattes in this one, it's beautiful. Consistency is there. I love the fact that you have that really beautiful iridescent pink in the top left corner. You've got a bold matte and then more of a muted matte with some purple undertones. Could be worth checking out at Sephora, especially if you're wanting those faster shipping times and the customer service to back your purchase. I also think that if you are more of a bold gal and you want pink but you want bold, Divine Rose 2 is a beautiful one. This was actually a re-release from Pat McGrath. She's now released it 2 times over. The first time it was limited edition, or so she said, and then it came back. This is one that I do think, pending stock, it will be included probably in her website sale moving forward, but this was also one that was omitted at her last sale, given that it was a new release again. To me, I think that the Divine Rose 2 is a beautiful companion to Divine Rose 1, but this is definitely more so catered for A, the Pat McGrath lover, or B, someone that wants bold tones. This one is made in Italy, so it is the Italian formulation that I love so, so much. A little bit better in quality compared to her US quads. Now my ride or die eyeliner has to be this guy. I've used it since I was 16. Like, actually. So you can definitely know that the repurchases are in the double digits at least. I'm 31 now, so this just makes sense. This is the Stila liquid eyeliner. This is my favorite product from the line. I don't typically have a ton of Stila in my collection. I'm just thinking, nope, this is the only product. This to me is the perfect black liquid liner. The control is there. The tip is just the perfect like stiffness level. It's not too flexible where it's bouncing all over the place, making it harder to stay steady, but it's also not too stiff. Like, it's just that perfect amount. It doesn't dry out like some of the other counterparts I've tried, and it's a beautiful, bold, rich black. For mascara, I have two recommendations, and the first one is the Diorshow Overcurl mascara. This one is special because of the wand, being that it is a little bit bent. So this is something that is also a 16-year-old Jenna favorite. This is a fantastic one, and like I said, similar to the Stila that has kind of lasted me for a decade now, same thing with this one. I feel like I'm always reverting back to it because it's that comfortable, I know I'm gonna get a good look out of it. Perfect combination, the two of them together. The next mascara recommendation actually comes from Marc Jacobs. This is the at Lash'd mascara. I find that this is one that if you want a little bit more boldness on top of the Diorshow, you can add this for that like falsies look, or you can just use without. This one to me is still beautiful, but it doesn't lift as much as the Diorshow one. So if you are comfortable with that whole curler thing, you can lift and then add this. So that's really the only difference between them. This one does a great job of separating as well and making them nice and bold. I've often used them together because they're compatible that way. This one also does a good job of lengthening. The Diorshow does too, but I find that when it comes to the strengths of each of them, this one holds curl better. This one lifts naturally. This one is a little bit bolder and this one separates a bit better. Kind of do with that what you will, but both of them are great options if you want that nice bold black lash. I need to talk about concealing products next, and the first one is actually kind of one that I'm really sad is going to go because Becca is actually closing their brand in September 2021. It is officially going to be closed, so their products are not going to be included in the fall VIB sale, I don't believe. But this is the Under Eye Corrector from Becca. This one does a great job of actually covering up dark circles. It has that nice pale pink pigment to it, so it does a great job of just camouflaging, and I do think that this one has a slight iridescence to it too, so it brings light to the area and essentially brightens it up as well. This one is in a cute little tub, so it's very, very easy to use, and the shade that I wear is light medium. There's also medium to deep as a second option, but this has been going in and out of stock ever since they announced that they were going to be closing their brand. This is a lovely one. This is my favorite color corrector to this day, the only one I use. Now this is actually a product I didn't expect to love. This is a new release from Marc Jacobs. It's called the Extra Shot Caffeine Concealer and Foundation kind of hybrid product. I solely use this for concealer. That's it. I don't use it as a foundation. I think the wand applicator makes it more so catered to a concealer. The wand is a little bit wider than a typical concealer wand, which is why they tried to bridge that gap, but I personally wish it was a little smaller, but the product itself makes me want to recommend it to you guys despite the packaging kind of woes I don't like about it. Because I use it as a concealer, it will last me a lot longer because this is much more product than a typical concealer. It's not quite a fluid ounce like a foundation. I do think if you are dry though, might emphasize dry skin a little bit more. So I'm a normal skin type. I don't find it dries me out or anything, especially if you're oily, you'll really like this. A great option for concealer if you are looking for something new this sale or something that you can do for both the eye area and covering acne on the face. Next, let's talk about foundation. I always like to include this one because this is one that if I don't have it in my personal stock, I use the VIB sale to stock up on it. Because I have it, I won't be buying it this round, but this is the Lemaire Soft Fluid. This has got to be my favorite foundation of all time. The only thing I hate about it is the fragrance, so I don't use it every day. It does dissipate over the skin as you wear it, which is nice. You're not like inhaling that all day long, but it is fairly prominent when you apply it. This though makes the skin look like an airbrushed masterpiece. It's absolutely worth the crazy, insane price point. I love it and I would pay for it every time, but when I can get a VIB sale to line up for this, perfect time to restock on this one. So lasts so long too. It's a medium coverage product. It does offer a little bit of a glow, so it really looks like healthy skin pushing through. It does have an SPF component to it. I still reapply SPF throughout the day on top of it. It's just not enough for the protection that you would need, but this one is amazing. Oh, I love it so much. This is the shade 220 Neutral. I love this one. It's my perfect shade. Now, if you're not quite a bougie gal and Lemaire is like, holy crap, even 20% off, like no way. No way, Jenna. This is going to be your best friend. This is the Light Wonder by Charlotte Tilbury. The shade that I wear is number 4, Fair. This is a buildable light to medium coverage as well as having that nice natural glow effect, just like the Lemaire. The only difference is that this is a thinner formulation, so although it makes your skin look absolutely stunning, it doesn't have that same plush richness as the Lemaire. So you are paying for that really, really beautiful formulation. This one doesn't smell like perfume though, so it's nice and it's a bit more lightweight. So just kind of depends on what you're after. A natural finish, my favorite, because it does lean more glowy. This is a beautiful second option. My newest favorite from the recent makeup that I've been trying and testing out is the Urban Decay Hydra Maniac foundation. Now this is the Tinted Glow Hydrator, has medium coverage. That is absolutely true. What I will say with this one is that if you are more dry, I do feel like it will crepe on you a bit. It's not as glowy as I expected. It's not as moisturizing as I expected. But on my normal skin, it does a fantastic job of being perfectly balanced. If you are dry, I actually think you might not fare well with this one. It's a perfect, like even mid-range choice compared to the other two. I do like how buildable this is. I like how easy it is to apply, and I do like the glowy factor at the end. It does have a really nice natural finish. I'm going to highlight one powder from Gucci, and this is, you guys, extremely well loved, but also has a fragrant component. So for my fragrance gals, beware. It is also a perfumey similar to Lemaire. They're both very floral. This is the same thing, but I love the powder and the result. This is the Gucci setting powder. It's called the Poudre de Beauté Matte Natural. I wear shade number 4. I could even go lighter. This is like just a tad too dark. This is super, super well loved. You can see like the outer ring is already starting to wear away. I love that this is a refillable compact, so it really cuts down on waste. And this is a gorgeous compact. If you're like me and packaging really gets you, this is beautiful. Like I love the pale pink kind of outer packaging here. You can see that. This one does a great job of mattifying the skin, but not to the point of looking too matte as the final finish. It's definitely a matte natural, more so natural. So I love that. Randomly, I think Harrods had it or something. It was one of those retailers I wasn't as familiar with, so finding the shade was tough. But now Sephora has it like all laid out, all the available shades, and it has beautiful descriptions as well to help you shade match perfectly. One of my favorite bronzers has got to be from Becca, and I also think not only is the Under Eye Corrector a good opportunity to invest in from this brand because it is closing, but some of the other products I'm going to talk about in this video also would be a good opportunity to invest in now. This one is the Capri Coast bronzer. It is their sunlit bronzer. It is so pretty. I am wearing it today. I just think it has that really nice like blurred effect to the skin. It does a good job of looking like a natural tan without looking too red or too orange or too fake looking. For me, I use it much more as a diffused look, glowy, more effortless. This is a beautiful bronzer for that. And I love the design in the compact. It's easy, it's nice like ripples, like sunlit bronzer. It kind of looks like waves a little bit. I don't know, to me it's just a nice one. Let's talk about blush. I do have quite a few blush recommendations, especially catering to if you're a powder gal or if you're a liquid gal. So the first one does come from Becca. I've talked about this before on my channel. It is the Flower Child Powder Blush. This is a mineral blush from them. It is so, so pretty. It's just a very flattering pink color. I do think it's going to look great on so many people because of just how easy this is. It's not too peach, it's not too bright, it's not too bold. It almost looks like a natural flush. Gorgeous packaging as well. This is one that packs a pigment punch though, so very, very light-handed on the brush. You don't need a ton. I literally dab this with my brush and apply it to both cheeks. That's literally how little powder you need for that pigment to show up. Check out these because it's a beautiful, effortless look as well, and this shade I'm obsessed with. if you love a stick blush, this is the Westman Atelier blush stick, and this is also one that I've fallen in love with, and I didn't really think I would. Westman Atelier is a clean luxury brand, but it is hella expensive. So I was like, okay, what is actually worth it for the VIB sale? What is one product from Westman Atelier that I could invest in during this sale? It is the blush stick, 100%. I do think it does a great job of applying to the brush effortlessly. I just use more of a dense brush, and I just kind of brush it against the stick maybe once or twice, apply it to my skin, and it looks effortless. Lasts all day, doesn't fade. This is a perfect shade. This is Petal. So this is a lovely option if you want to try out the brand and you're more of a blush gal. This is a great one. My third blush option is actually going to be the Rare Beauty liquid blush. This is the Soft Pinch liquid blush. She's come out with 2 cream blushes now. This is the first launch, and then the second one was the Stay Vulnerable collection. I will say that this one is better. This is one that fades faster on me. So this is the Stay Vulnerable one. This is in Nearly Neutral. I think maybe the formulation, because this one does seem to be a bit thinner, maybe not as pigmented as this guy can be, but if I could pick between the two, I would definitely pick this one. The shade that I have is Bliss. It is super easy to use. It has a wand applicator, and I actually just take the excess off because I often have quite a bit on the brush there. You don't need a ton either. It's perfect. I don't know, much better than the Stay Vulnerable one in my opinion. I would 100% recommend this one if you're looking for a cream blush in this kind of style. Now for highlight, I definitely recommend the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. So this is the highlight I'm wearing today. It is in the shade Opal, and this is my favorite. You can see here that it is a mini size. I personally think you don't need to invest in the highlights in a full size unless you have a really small highlighter collection or you really love a shade, because this is also a very highly pigmented highlight. You don't need a ton to look like absolutely blinding. I know the style is kind of leaning more so away from blinding highlight. So that being said, it's even more important to just maybe invest in a mini size. Now I'm gonna hold this one this way. This is Champagne Pop. I dropped it on the floor, so it has a big crack in it. Don't drop them. With powder makeup, of course, you're gonna risk breaking anything, but this one I did break, unfortunately. Great highlighter options for sure, unfortunately from the same brand that is closing. So if you are interested in these products, it's a good opportunity to get the highlights as well. Next is one of my favorite categories, which is lip products. And I think that the 2 lipstick products I'm going to recommend this time around would be a Charlotte Tilbury one. So if you are kind of thinking about investing in a Charlotte Tilbury product, her Matte Revolution lipsticks are great. Her Kissing lipsticks are great. The Kissing lipsticks are cream formulation, much more creamy and a satin finish. The Matte Revolution is still a creamy matte, but it is a matte. So my favorite that I've been wearing on and off is Very Victoria. It is one that I think is just stunning. It's the shade I'm wearing today, and it is named after Victoria Beckham. So it's just a beautiful pinky nude color. Pillow Talk is definitely one that is super popular, always has been, but I do feel like depending on your undertone, it can pull brown on you and look a little bit funny. Very Victoria just seems to pull beautifully on everyone. I haven't really heard any of my subscribers saying like Very Victoria didn't work out for me. So this could be one that's more underrated and still a really beautiful shade. Now, if you are more into creamy, more satin finishes, this is a beautiful line from Becca. I'm gonna highlight them one more time as well because the Ultimate Lipstick Love line I think is beautiful. The shade that I have is Truffle. It is more of a warm shade. They have quite a few neutrals and pinks in this line, and it's distinguished by undertone. If you are one that wants more of a cooler pink, you can grab a cooler shade. And I do find that that distinction, I think a lot of other lipstick brands should kind of start doing, because it helps people navigate what they're going to look for in a lipstick. And if they prefer warm tones, they don't have to waste their money on getting a shade that didn't work out for them. I love the packaging. I love that it's kind of like a slow magnetic closure. It's beautiful. Lip gloss has got to be one of my favorite categories as well. And the Tower 28 ones, these have been the best of 2020 for me, and they're definitely ones I still recommend. I have oat here and coconut. These are nice and lightweight. They probably have, I would say, medium opacity when it comes to pigments. You can just leave it kind of more on the sheer side or build it up a little bit for more of a color punch, but they're very comfortable. They have a really sweet smell as well. It's like candy. Yeah, okay, right away I get those toffee squares. That's the first thing I think of. So the scent does not stay though. It's one that you can just smell it when you apply and then it dissipates. But I love the formulation of these, and these have also been out of stock for quite some time. So my hope is that they restock them for the sale because clearly they're very well loved by people. My next favorite lip gloss line has got to be the Pat McGrath Lust lip glosses. These are just beautiful. For people that have spoken to me about these that even are not gloss people, they love these. Like, I'm a gloss gal, so I'm like, well, yeah, of course. But some people that I've recommended these to have said that they're not typically gloss people, and yet it's still very, very pleasing to them. They love it. So my favorite shade is Sunset Rose. This is a beautiful pink with some gold reflex. It just makes the lips look stunning. There's a whole line of these too, so I physically have to stop myself from buying every single one because that formulation is that good to me. But knowing me, I don't want to have a ton of clutter in my life, so I really try to narrow down. This is got to be my favorite shade, Sunset Rose. Definitely a gloss to check out if you are wanting a gloss this sale. I have two glowing setting sprays that I love for different reasons. Both of them are great. Both are priced relatively within the same price point. So it's not like one of them is astronomically more expensive, but there are some strengths to each. So the first one is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Mist. This is my third repurchase of this. And then we have the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray from Charlotte Tilbury. Both of them have fragrance. However, the Glow Recipe fragrance is at the bottom of the list, which means that it is basically nil. Fragrance for this one is mid-range, so it's going to have a higher concentration. If your skin does not do well with fragrance or it's highly sensitive, do not get this one, just opt for this. I do love both of them because they both offer that beautiful glowy result. This nozzle is a little bit more focused. A bit more fine-tuned, so you can just like maybe spray one cheek or spray that cheek. Whereas the nozzle for the Charlotte one is a bit wider and the spray is wider. So if you're trying to do targeted work, which you don't usually, I guess, for a setting spray, you're trying to hit your whole canvas, I guess, both are great options in my opinion. I couldn't really decide which one I like more, but now that I'm kind of talking it over, I would probably think that the Glow Recipe is a little bit better just because, like, you guys know that fragrance in my makeup and in my skincare, I'm really trying to be more cognizant of. This one is still really good. I just wish she would put that fragrance a little bit lower on the ingredient list because she really likes to put fragrance and stuff. Next, I'm going to be talking about my recommendations for skincare, hair, fragrance, etc. in my next video because this is a really, really nice sale to also grab some of those items if you are interested. Let me know which makeup is on your wish list this year for the spring sale. And until my next one, guys, take care and stay safe. Bye, guys!